up, everybody, and welcome back to Rocco's Kitchen. Here in South Carolina, we're snowed in, so it's a great day to have a couple hard ciders and make some pizza. Cheers. Now, I will be making pizza tonight, but that's not the focus of this video. What we're going to do tonight is what I like to do with my leftover dough when making pizza, if I have some left over, and that's make pizza fritta. That's a fried dough. I'm going to do a couple different sweet ones. You can also do savory, but we're going to do sweet tonight, some dessert pizza fritta. And we'll get to what we're putting on top of those later. But before we begin, don't forget, hit that like and subscribe. And let's make some dough. To start our dough, we're going to go into a large bowl with 4 cups of lukewarm water. Two tablespoons of active dry yeast. And 1 tablespoon of sugar. I'm going to give that just a little mix with my fingers. And we're going to let that sit for just a couple minutes and let that yeast start to activate. All right, look at that, little yeast explosions. It's a beautiful thing. Yeast is one of my favorite things in the world. I mean, you make pizza with it, you make beer with it, and so many other wonderful things. We're ready for our flour. Okay, so we are going to use in total 9 cups of flour. But first, we're going to add about half to our water. We'll just mix that until it's all incorporated. You don't have to worry about getting all the little bumps out right now. You want to give it a good mix, but we're going to throw this in the KitchenAid and let it knead it in there. That's going to get it nice and smooth later. So that's looking pretty good right there. I'm going to let this sit for 5 minutes before I add the rest of that flour. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Now we're going to go in with the second half of our flour. 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And 2 teaspoons of salt. Now we're just going to stir that until the rest of that flour is incorporated. So now what we have here is a shaggy mess. And I'm going to take that, dump it out of the bowl. And we're going to use our stand mixer to knead it. Make that do the work for us. If you don't have a stand mixer, you could just as well dump it on the table and start kneading away by hand. We need the first half because my big mixer's not big enough to handle all this dough. Just going to cover that with the bowl. Drop that down, lock it, and we're going to mix it with a dough hook at speed 2 for 5 minutes. First half is ready. Turn that off. Scrape it off of the hook. All we're going to do, switch places. Old and with the new. We're going to do the same thing. Speed 2, 5 minutes. Our second half is ready. Let's scrape that off. Get the dough out. Now we're going to marry the two halves. I'll just do a little hand kneading here. To bring them together. That's good. Nice and smooth. Some bounce. Okay. Now, take a clean bowl. Yeah, just a little olive oil. We're going with our dough. Like to spin it around. Just make sure it gets on all the sides of the bowl. Flip it over. We'll cover with a clean towel. We're gonna let that double in size. It's gonna take about 45 minutes. And for our pizza fritta, we're gonna do a double rise. So after 45 minutes, I'm gonna take out the pizza or the dough I want to make my pizzas, punch it down, and let it rise again. Our dough has risen. So now, we'll take it out of the bowl. I'll take probably a little over 2/3 for my pizzas. Just take this little ball. Put that back to our bowl. Let that rise one more time, and that's what we're going to use for our pizza fritta. Our dough has achieved its second rise, so let's go over our toppings. Here we got half a cup of sugar with about a teaspoon of cinnamon mixed into it, which we're going to bring over to the stove and we'll put on it right when it comes out of the fry. Then we got Nutella, peanut butter, and powdered sugar. That one we'll put back together over here at the chopping block. Guys, you could have fun with this, get creative, put whatever you want on it. Now let's stretch out our dough. So, plop that out. Make 2 pieces here. Take our first piece, put a little flour down, and just press that out into a nice big circle. Try to keep it even. Don't want to stretch it too thin. Wait till you see some light going through it. It's good. Also, I don't care if these are perfect circles. I think it looks cooler if it's not a perfect circle. Just kind of let it stretch the way it wants to for this. Alright, that's our first one. We're going to do the other one. We're going to head on over to the stove. Okay, so now I got a big pan full of about 1 inch of oil that's at 350 degrees. The temperature is important, so you're going to want a thermometer to check that. And also, before we get started, this can get pretty dangerous. You don't want this to start on fire, but if it does, do not use water to put it out. You're going to want something that you can cover it with to smother that fire. Now, if you don't, if it keeps going, flour. Start throwing flour on it, or have a big box of salt handy. Cover it in salt. Never use water, or it will explode. Start your whole house on fire. Now that we got that out of the way, let's have some fun. Fry some dough. So always away from you when you drop it in. Never towards you. Splash hot oil at you. That's not fun. We're making dessert. I'm just going to kind of let that air out from underneath it every once in a while. We're just going to fry that on that side until it starts to get golden brown. It'll take about a minute. All right, let's put over that. That's golden brown. Now we're just going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, both sides are done. I'm just going to let some of the excess oil drip off. Shake her off, shake her off. And this first one we're going to use for our Nutella and peanut butter. So we can just set that onto a rack with a resting rack on top of that. And we'll go in with our second dough. Always away from you. And we're going to do the same thing. Our second one is out, so now we're going to immediately sprinkle our salt and sugar and cinnamon. I wouldn't do salt. Yeah, sugar and cinnamon on there. As much as you'd like, you prefer. Now let's head on over to the chopping block and finish up the other one. And now to finish our second one. So I heated up the peanut butter and the Nutella for about 30 seconds, and I put my Nutella into a bag. Just cut a little hole and made a little piping bag. So we'll just squeeze that out. Like so. We'll take our peanut butter. We'll give a drizzle of that over the top. Yeah, that's good. And then we'll take a little sifter with our powdered sugar. Just a little powdered sugar on top. That's it. You're ready to go. So we got two beautiful pizza fritta for our dessert tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time on Rocco's Kitchen.